Gutterball Frame 51 coming at you live on a Wednesday afternoon. We're throwing it up a little bit, so we're filming way different. We got our Gutterball on the normal schedule, so it's not Gutterball After Dark anymore. That's done for a while. We got our wonderful cousin Jarrett joining us this evening, as well as our co-host Paul down there. Gentlemen, how we feeling today? Paul, what's up? What's new? What's
Doing
cracking?
good, doing good. Slow week at work. Just been getting through the motions here, heading up to Duluth tomorrow for the weekend. Mom and dad are having a garage sale, as you know, so that'll be a good time. Just hang out with the family. Yeah, that's about it. How you doing, Jarrett?
Hanging in there, brother. You know what I'm saying? Working and out here trying to survive, man. Nothing too crazy going on down here in Pennsylvania. I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, hey, that's good. I mean, as you know, the city I live in is in the news more often than I think it should be. But yeah, things can get a little hectic down here. But that's good. I'm glad you're doing good. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate having you and willing to come on the show and just shoot the shit, talk about stuff. But Jackson, off the top of your head, do you have any questions or topics you want to roll right into?
Let's roll right into this one because I was like, what's going on? Have you guys seen that cruise ship? The kid that jumps off on a dare off the cruise ship in the middle of the night, and then he just gets lost at sea.
Yeah, so I caught a little bit of that where the guy, he jumps off and then it's gone forever. Like they haven't found him yet, right?
No,
Like
2
they're like,
days. Yeah.
pretty much like a no balls, and he just jumps off into the ocean, into the abyss, gone forever, and they still have yet to locate this guy. Yeah, no, I did see that the other day.
That is like my number one fear is doing exactly that. Like the middle of the ocean, pitch black, dude. You can't even see their face in front of you. Dude, I can't believe someone would do that. Paul, you see that?
Yeah,
See that
I heard something briefly about it that they called the search off for the kid now. Like it's
very tragic.
Yeah, it's super sad.
How long could you be at sea, really? I mean, like 12 hours, maybe? I don't know. Sharks coming for you at some point.
That's what's crazy is like
very tragic.
We want to invest all this time into like space travel and money. It's like, bro, like 80% of our oceans still aren't like fully fucking explored. That's where I think we should be focusing. But
it's crazy also. Like, I mean, think of this guy's like living like a castaway situation, right? Like he's talking.
Yeah, he might be there. Yeah.
He's sitting there, like they go on to search for him, and this guy's screwed. He thinks that they're coming to save him.
Yeah,
like,
man.
I mean,
it's tragic, but it's also at the same time like it's kind of a little bit the kid's fault. I mean, don't jump off a cruise ship in the middle of the night and not tell anybody. I'm just gonna jump off this. I mean, there were a good amount of people, but how hard was it to stop that boat? Like they just kept going. No one told the cruise ship, hey, put the anchor down. There's a kid in the water. It's like, whatever. We'll go back around.
I don't know anything about boats. Do those big ass cruise ships even have anchors? Do they have?
They definitely do. I bet they do. I don't know how long they take to reach the bottom of the ocean and actually stop you, but they gotta have anchors, right?
Because you start by getting dragged because of how heavy it is until it hits.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, it's one of those things. Like, don't be an idiot.
Yeah,
really.
You can avoid the whole situation, but
yeah, holy shit,
tragic though. Very
that
sad.
is tragic. I don't. Yeah, the ocean. Okay, water doesn't scare me. Oceans do, bro. Like I don't know, man. I've never.
Dude, I'm so terrified of water.
I guarantee the guy had probably 25 cocktails that day.
Yeah.
In his cruise ship experience, he jumps off, doesn't contemplate in his mind like, oh, I'm probably gonna have to sit here and tread water for probably at least an hour until the cruise ship would even get stopped and turned around, right?
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, from like personal experience, treading water in full boots in a full uniform, not a fun time, right? Like you do it for like 10 minutes and you're like, you're ready to take a nap. So the fact like he jumps off of full clothes, everything on, he was probably was drowned within 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. It's kind of what the video looked like. It was hard to tell, but yeah.
I never saw the video. Shit.
Oh, dude, the video's brutal because there's in the background, one of his friends says, bye, and he's like laughing. He does this, and he's like laughing. It's like, that dude's dead now. Like, that's a morbid video, but apparently it was a dare somebody came up with, so that guy could live with that guilt of having to tell his friend to do that. But then again, if my friend did that, I don't know if it'd be really my fault. Because it's kind of, you did it, man. I didn't jump in the water.
Free will.
You really suggested I'd give you $100 if you did.
Yeah. So for those people wondering, yeah, so like Jarrett's our cousin. He lives out in Pennsylvania on my dad's side of the family. Jarrett, what was it like growing up in Pennsylvania? Because I kind of want to compare what it was a little bit into how it was growing up for us here, which is obviously probably very vastly different. I knew you're kind of in like a farm out in the country style area. We're in the city.
Yeah, absolutely. So my whole entire view growing up, and I didn't figure this out really until I got in the military and started experiencing people who are coming from like different backgrounds and stuff, right? But like how we grew up is not like how most people do. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever I was 12, 13 years old, I would hop on the four-wheeler and I would drive down the road and I would go fishing for a couple hours. And I thought that's like what everybody did. And I thought everybody went and fished off their four-wheeler. No, that's not really the case. Growing up in a small town, it's weird because you think like whenever you're out and you're young and you're doing something that like, hey, I can get away with this, right?
Yeah.
No, like especially because everybody knows my dad too. So it's just not like one of those situations you start going into something. You're like, hey, aren't you Bill Shuffler's kid? And it's like, oh shit, like here we go.
Yeah.
Like I'm not getting away with this. I'm like, hey, he's gonna hear about this. I know it.
Yep.
So that's kind of the whole small town vibe. Is there's always eyes on you at some point, and then on top of that, it's like there's not a whole lot to do, so you have to make up shit to do. So a lot of times that's like you get a lot of good creative things, especially in your early age drinking activities. There were some things you probably shouldn't have done, right?
Yeah.
Looking back on it, but no, it's a great place to grow up in, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything because it gives you kind of like a good foundation for who I am and everything now today. So I really liked growing up in the small town vibe. What was it like in the more of a city kind of setting?
So yeah, like Duluth, smaller city at that point, it's like 80,000 population. So like big, but like in our area, like where we were in Woodland, kind of out of like the city area. I mean, like it's kind of hard to like scale Duluth because it's weird because it's like a longer city along Lake Superior. But like, we almost had those kind of small town vibes. I mean, like my dad brought us. I mean, my dad grew up there, so a lot of the stuff he grew up with, he did with us. Like hunting and fishing and stuff. As he got older, and like as we got older, we didn't do that stuff as much anymore. But yeah, it's obviously probably really different. Like here though, like no one really knew my dad and stuff, but and like I would get into some trouble, and there's some things my dad and my parents still don't know about, which is probably good, like that's like how it should be.
Yeah, we kind of have eyes on us, at least I did with Ben, because it felt like
that's where it got tough, bro.
Any interaction with cops was immediately reported back to mom and dad. And I'm like, God damn it, Ben. Yeah, right. Always. No, there was like 3 instances where maybe 2, but we're like, parents would have never have known if not for Ben. So it's like I kind of do got eyes on us a little bit, but
yeah, there was when I was in high school, this is when Ben was a cop, he was a cop when I was in middle school, I think too, but I didn't really like fuck around, but in high school I started fucking around, and like I remember there was this one time I got caught like after curfew in a car with a girl and by a DPD officer. He didn't do anything, he just told us to go home. And my apparently he didn't tell mom and dad, but he's like, "What were you doing with your lady friend the other night?" And I'm like, "How the fuck?" I'm like, "God damn it!"
Dude,
like, I'm like,
do shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's like he knows that he has that on you, like for any moment. But obviously, past is the past. But so yeah, I guess I didn't think about that, Jack. That's a good point. Yeah, Ben was more so the worry about people finding out about shit, I guess, because Ben and then Joe knows everybody too. But like on the other side of things, yeah.
I gotta kind of interject. That's kind of where my question actually that I had for you guys is who had to cover for who more growing up.
Oh shit, that is a good question. Like, I mean, we could do all the brothers, but honestly, Paul, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of times in school, like especially with the bus, I would always be covering for you. But I'd probably be because we broke a lot of shit where we're like, both just like, we're not talking about it.
Yeah,
doesn't know, but mom and dad would know.
Yeah, we would do like a forensic cleanup, like every piece of glass. What do you mean, Mom? That thing was never there. Like that doesn't exist.
Just fuck her head up, dude. There's I think the paintings still out there are a fucking frame that's still shattered in the back, and we just don't talk about it. Mom doesn't know about it.
Yeah. No,
I got a great glass story for you here. I'll interject here, and then I'll let you get back to your
for
cover
sure.
up. So this is funny because we were talking about mom not knowing about it, and I think I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, and we just got a new glove, like a new baseball glove. And whenever you get a new baseball glove, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but like sometimes you put this like it's like a kind of compound on it, and then you bake it in the oven, and it loosens it up so it's not as stiff.
Oh yeah, okay.
Well, me and my dad just got done baking this glove, and it was like first thing in the morning, and mom had already left for work. He's like, "Here, throw it." He's like, "I'll throw it when I throw it," and I threw it back at him. He misses it, and it goes right through the kitchen, right through the kitchen window. Because like dad was like, "She's gonna kill me." Well, dad, like throughout, like my dad's day turned into replacing this window before mom got home. So like he like went out and got this window replaced, and she had no idea that we had broken this window, and she didn't end up finding out until like probably like a year or two later. And I think we actually told her, we're like, "Hey, yeah, we were
throwing literally the classic "don't throw the ball in the house" fucking happened." Yeah. That's pretty good. But yeah, as far as like covering for who, I covered for Jack a bit, but Jackson covered for me more. I was doing way more sinister shit. And then like by the time I was older, I wasn't around as much, so I really wasn't there to cover for Jack or anything like that, kind of is how it worked.
Oh, bro, I would cover for you so hard with that fucking cat and that lizard. I would lie to my teeth. I was like Leonardo DiCaprio, like, this, and this happened. And then I got shot and I'm bleeding out. Mom said to go down there and help him. And then the cat ran in. It was weird. It was all fun, dude. It was, yeah, just lie on top of lie. It was like The Shield. I just couldn't stop.
Yeah, man.
Funny. I don't know if you know, Jarrett, but Paul successfully hit a cat and a lizard from our parents.
I had a cat. I had a kitten and a pet bearded dragon. Which, to be fair, that thing doesn't fucking do anything except sit in a cage. It doesn't stink. It just kind of hangs out. But no, eventually my parents found out about the cat and they wanted me to get rid of it. But then they like ended up loving the cat. That's the thing, is like, because I was in the basement room, so I kind of had like a separate entry. I'd hide it down there, and then she got too big to hide. Like she wanted to roam around and stuff. And then my parents just were like, we're like, yeah, you got to get rid of it. And I was like, okay, I will. And then they just ended up liking the cat. Like my dad feeds it treats and shit. Like it hangs out with my dad. And I'm just like, okay, like I guess I'm keeping the cat. Cool. And then the bearded dragon didn't really, they were mad at first, but then like they just didn't care. Cause like once they saw that it's just like literally pretty much stays in a cage and like it doesn't smell, like, and I cleaned up after it, it wasn't really a big deal. So
how did the whole cat come about? Was you just like, all right, screw it, I want a cat, and like picked one up along the street or what?
I don't know, dude. Like we never had cats growing up, and I'm kind of like my dad in the sense of like almost every animal I meet just immediately likes me, and like I've always just liked animals. Like I don't discriminate. I like dogs. Like I have a dog and a cat. I still have that cat, and then I have a dog, and like I don't know. I was just like, what? It was like I was going into my senior year of high school, and I'm like, somebody told me about like a buddy having like a litter of kittens in Forest Lake. So I drove down to the farm, I picked her up, came back, and I don't know. I don't really know what it was, man. I just think I wanted something to hang out with me. And they're very fucking low maintenance, bro. I literally have an automated feeder that goes off and just feeds her, and I just leave water out. And then I clean the litter box like 2-3 times a week, and that's that.
And it plays your voice. It'll be like Dynamo.
Dude. The feeder is my voice recorded. It's fucking ridiculous. And then she runs in and eats it.
Point Dynamite. Tino, you fat lord, come and get some dinner, right?
Yeah. You guys had dogs growing up. I know usually most country folk don't have cats, and if they do, they're barn cats. Do you like cats? Do you like most animals, or?
Cats we usually are not super fond of, at least like in my house. So they were like, we got a cat, like it was not staying.
Yeah.
Dogs, we usually only had one. Dad knew, like, we knew Dad was not going to take care of it as far as like letting it out and all that stuff. Like it was going to be Mom. So like Mom always dictated it, and we always growing up were like, we want like a bigger dog. She's like, dog shit. Yeah. It's like, all right, so we're sticking with this little dog. Dak was kind of the exception whenever I first got out of the military. So, little timeline here is I got out of the military, and the day before I was supposed to get out, they actually called me and were like, hey, we're flying Dak into San Diego. Do you still like want to get him to adopt him? I'm like, hell yeah. So I get out of the military. I drive from South Carolina up to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I'm there. I get, Yeah, so I get home on Friday because I'd made a stop like one night of travel. Saturday morning, I drive out to Pittsburgh. I hop on a plane, fly out to San Diego. I pick him up. Whenever I pick him up, fly back, and then I'm back in Pennsylvania. Like, this is like a shit ton of travel. And then like Dak's there. And Dak was the first exception of like a dog that sheds and is like massive living in our house. Like, she for like probably 2 months just freaked out every day, like, oh, there's hair everywhere in the house, we need to get rid of them. Yeah. But no, she loves them now. Like, whenever she comes down to visit, she's like, oh, Dad, come see Graham. And he's like, you know, and wanders over. But no, I mean, so that was the whole dynamic growing up was pretty much, we always had smaller dogs.
Yes, same.
Never really anything.
Our parents did too, yeah. Now they have a little one. His name's Norman. He's a little bastard, dude. He's so misbehaved.
Nah, he's a good boy. He's Ron. Our dad has a reputation of ruining dogs.
Yeah, dude. He gives him like too many treats. He doesn't do anything about bad behavior at all, dude. Just like, oh, I just finished my ice cream. You want to lick the bowl? Like
Literally
every time, like
all time.
Typical
time.
dad shit. Like, and it's also been the same growing up. My mom is always the one buying the dog, and then it just ends up loving my dad and hating, like, not really like fucking with my mom all that much. Like, it's just like how it goes. Like, my dog Dexter, he's like 40 pounds, full grown. So since he's that mix, he's got a little bit of the smaller side of healer, but not as big as an Australian Shepherd. He sheds a fuck ton, but we just keep up on it. It's just another chore. You just vacuum and sweep. Like more often than you would do, and it's usually not that big of a deal. Honestly, for me, I think the thing I hate the most is just like when my clothes are filled with hair and it's like fucking lint rolling all the time. I hate that shit, but that's pretty much it.
It's not too bad. Yeah, no, Dak's a good boy. My dad does the same shit for like treats and everything. For the 3 months that I lived at home after we got back, every single day at 6 o'clock in the morning, Dak would go boom, 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 up because I was down in the basement of my parents' house. I would hear Dak in the morning boom, 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 up the steps. He knew Dad was going to go out there and throw him 3 treats first thing in the morning. So he would always he never missed it. 6 a.m. every day, baby. Dak was up. Dak was up waiting for his treat. It was like, come on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I see the aspect though too of like why dads do that. I mean, like I think I see the aspect of why like most dads do that shit where they just like really treat the animals well. I mean, like you're meant to give them like a way better life than it would be as if they were just like not domesticated and in the wild. So I get it. But then there are those people that like fucking overfeed their animals that are just like obese, and it just like almost looks like sad in the sense of like, fuck. Like, I guess our animals were never like obese. They were definitely larger, but they were never like couldn't move so fat or super slow, you know.
I've seen some fat, like growing up, friends had some fat animals. Like, I'm like, this is abuse at some point. Stop giving this fucking cat things. Yeah.
So you mentioned military. You want to go into like you know, like what branch you were in, kind of like what you did, if you don't mind, or just kind of like touch on that and how your experience was?
Sure. So I went in 2017. I joined the Marine Corps, and for the first 3 months, yeah, for the first 3 months is your boot camp and stuff. Not a lot happens. A lot of yelling, screaming. Basically just putting that base level of knowledge and discipline throughout everybody. That's the whole goal of it, right? And then you go through your like combat training that's a month long, where you learn like basic combat skills. It's honestly it's not super like high speed like it sounds. It's actually kind of boring, but it's kind of like a rehash of everything you learn in boot camp, and they just condense it down into a month before they send you out to whatever you're gonna do. So then from there, and that was all that took place in the Carolinas. Boot camp was in South Carolina. My MCT was in North Carolina at the hell's the name of camp? Not camp. It's right outside of Camp Lejeune, but it's and right outside the New River. I can't think of the place. Not important.
Yeah.
And then I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, which is in the middle of the woods in Missouri. There's not a whole lot outside of like Fort Leonard Wood. I was there for military police training. That takes place. The training itself is for probably about 3 months or so. Throughout the course, you know, there's always like holidays and stuff, so it always gets elongated. But to make matters worse, whenever I got there, like basically they wait for groups of like boot camps to collect to get there because they don't have enough from one like boot camp class to run a class of like MPs, right? So what they do is they wait for probably like 2 or 3 boot camp. Well, the class before me had just picked up into their training. So like I got there and I did nothing for like 3 months. I just sat there because we were waiting for the other boot camp lieutenants. So I ended up being in Fort Leonard Wood for like 6 or 7 months. And it was through winter. And I don't know if you've ever been in Missouri in winter, but there is nothing but rolling hills and cold. It is cold there. Okay. And it's not even like necessarily like temperature cold. It's just the wind is just miserable.
Brutal.
There.
Yeah. Cause it's like, yeah. Go ahead.
So yeah, no, you're good, man. So I get through that whole entire thing. And once you get down to about your last month, that's whenever you start getting orders to find out where you're going. I'm like, baby, let's go. I'm like, let's see what kind of like gold pot. I'm like, I don't care where I go really. If it's in the States, I'll be happy as long as I don't go to Japan. I'm like, that was the only thing that I want.
Why not? Why no Japan?
Well, just because, like, I don't know, it's like a different country, and plus you got places like Pendleton in California where it's like you're literally right on the coast and it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And you have the less luxurious Jacksonville, North Carolina, but like you're in close driving distance to the beaches and stuff.
Right.
So like those are both great locations, and all the Marine Corps bases are pretty much, except for 29 Palms, which is in the middle of the desert. It's a horrible place. In Yuma, Arizona, which is like right along the border of Arizona. Pretty much all the Marine Corps bases are on the coast. So I knew if I didn't get Japan, I'm like, I had a pretty good chance of being on a coast, one or the other, right? And the orders came out, and they're like, Camp Butler, Okinawa, Japan. I'm like, motherfucker. I'm like, this is not what I wanted, you know? So Okinawa rolls around, and I get out to Japan, and like kind of a similar situation for like your first like week or two in Japan. You just do nothing, like, cause they get there and it's like you got to take like kind of like a customs class where it like teaches you a little bit about like the locals and the whole 9 yards, and they kind of get you accustomed to the Japanese culture a little bit, and then you like I get to my actual unit, and my unit is like, oh, you have to go through this training. So it's like, shit, now I have to go through another set of training. It was probably another 2 months until I actually started doing my job out there. And then as soon as I got into my job, I kind of started asking around. I'm like, hey, how do you get into K9 here? And they're like, oh, it's like damn near impossible. I'm like, great. I'm like, it's the whole reason why I joined to be an MP was to be a K9 handler, right? And I'm like, great, that's not the answer I was really looking for. But they said damn near impossible and not impossible. So I'm like, there's still a shot. Mm-hmm. So basically I did all the shit that you need to. Like, I volunteered whenever I was off duty. I would go to the kennels. So like I would work a night shift, and after I'd work night shift, I would go then and I would catch a bus and I would work the day shift with K9. So basically I'd work for like 24 hours straight. And after doing this for like seriously like a month and a half, 2 months, they're like, hey, you're getting pulled to K9 to go. And I was like, fuck
yeah. Nice, man.
So I'm like, I'm getting off of it. And like I'd been a patrol supervisor, which is normally like a role for a normal MP that takes roughly a year or more of experience to get into, and I was in it in 3 months, right? So like my staff sergeant did not want to give me up. He was like, yeah, I don't really want to do this. He was like, but you got pulled, and like he was like, I don't have much say. So he was like, you're gone. I'm like, cool. So leading up to it, a little background on K9 school. It's in Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, and I heard a bunch of stories and like about how great of a time this is, right? So I'm like, I guess we'll see. We'll see whenever I get there. So I get there and I don't have a car or anything, and I get to San Antonio. They fly me from Japan and everything. And I get to San Antonio. I don't have a car or anything. I'm like, this is kind of like boring. Like, I don't really have shit to do. So then like I looked in like in Japan, like you don't spend any money, right? Because like I don't have like out on the weekends, open for like a case of beer on the weekend. Like I wasn't spending my money like at all.
Yeah.
So I had a bunch of money saved up, and I'm like, how much would it cost to get a rental car? for the time that I'm here. And I go and I look, I'm like, oh boy, I have enough money for that. So like I get a rental car. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic, right? Like now I can now after you get off and like now whenever I go to training, I can just drive there. And whenever I get off at the end of the day, if I want to go off base and just grab food, boom, I just go off base and grab food. So that was awesome once I got the rental car. And then I met a group of like friends who we were like riding with, and they're like, hey, we have to go to this place. It's called Cowboys Dance Hall in San Antonio, Texas. I'm like, I don't know how to dance. Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere, dude. I don't know how to dance. I'm like, why would I go to this place? He was like, no. He's like, trust me. So we go to this place for the first time, and you walk in there, dude. There's like, bitches are hot, right? All right, it's hot, all right. And they have like the way it's set up is you have a gigantic dance floor with a stage that sits up there, and then around the entire outside of it is nothing but like well drinks and bars the whole way around there. So it's awesome twofold because one, you never had to wait to get a drink, right?
Yeah.
Two, there's tons of hot girls, and like three, once you learned how to dance, they would come up and ask you to dance. So I'm like, this is the best establishment ever made, man. Like 21-year-old Jarrett was like, man, I think I'm in heaven. I don't think I really need to go anywhere else.
The world's greatest business model. Who made this?
Yeah. I'm like, man, this is an absolutely fantastic place. And then sadly, my 3 months in San Antonio came to an end, and I had to go back to Japan. Like, shit. This is not what I'm like, but this is definitely the pinnacle of my Marine Corps career right here is on this Air Force base.
Yeah.
But no, I go back to Japan. At first, I get paired with a dog. His name was Dundee, and great dog, but he was 9 years old. Like they kind of give the older dogs to the newer handlers to kind of like teach the handlers, right? And he definitely taught me some lessons, but at the same time, he was like, man, I'm tired of this shit. Like, just ready to get out. So I had him for probably, I think it was about 4 months, and I couldn't pass the detection problems with him because he would hit most of them, but he would always miss like one, right? And with a bomb dog, you can miss like, so you have 3 trials basically, or like 3 events that you run through, and you can only miss 2 the entire time. Like, and he would miss 1 like every single time.
Gotcha.
So that would be 3. Yeah. So we'd always fail on the detection problem. And then I got paired with Dak here behind me afterwards. And Dak they're like, oh, because they gave me a choice between 2 dogs. It was either Dak or another dog. And my kennel master was like, why would you want Dak? Like he's his detection's not that good. And then I worked with him for like a month. This dog was fantastic, right? The handler before me just was not up to.
Yeah.
Like literally, I would walk in, I'd be like, "Seek," and he would just go around and do the whole problem pretty much himself. I'm like, this is great.
Nice, man.
I'm like, this dog is absolutely fantastic. Like bite work though, like he's the most like scary looking dog in the world, right? Just pitch black, 82 pounds, and just the biggest lover in the world. Like just does not want to do, but like did not want to do bite work like at all. Like I had to really, really amp him up to even bite anything. So that was kind of his drawback, but that's pretty much it. And then I rode with Dak. We would do like basic events, like you would like work on shift like a normal police officer, and then if you ever had any events that would come into town, like concerts, we had country singers and all sorts of different singers that would come out to Japan to perform, and we would do like the event sweeps and stuff beforehand. So that was pretty much my extent in Japan.
What was your favorite thing about Japan? Was
favorite
there
thing
anything you liked? Yeah.
Definitely the food. Oh my goodness, the food out there is fantastic. I'm not even a huge sushi person, right? I don't really like sushi, not my style. I tried it a couple times out there, but just like your normal, so like we have like our normal like American comfort foods, like the normal Japanese comfort foods. Oh,
So
like
good.
curry out there. Oh goodness, curry is fantastic. I'd go back to Japan just for that. Chicken cutlet curry from Coco's Curry House. Any Marine who has been in Japan knows exactly what I'm talking about. It is fantastic. And then it's cool out there because they have like different spice levels for it, right? So you can get it from like no spice all the way up to a 10. Like a 2 was good for me.
Yeah, same. I'd probably be on that scale. I'm not a big spice guy.
Yeah, I have a little fragile palate kind of guy, okay? But I have my one friend, he would regularly eat an 8, and I'm like, dude, I can't even sniff that. like I would sniff that and be like, oh, you know?
It's like, motherfucker, I think Dr. Pepper's spicy. You're over here having fucking level 8 curry? God damn, dude.
Yeah, he's a Hispanic dude, and it's naturally high tolerance for any, like, he got OC sprayed, and, like, it didn't even affect him, right? Like, it's a very, very small portion of the population. He just had such a high tolerance built up to spice, like, he got OC'd, and I'm like, dude, like, meanwhile, Jarrett gets OC'd, and I'm like, I'm down for the count, dude, like, I'm done. So, yeah, OC not my friend. Like, I would volunteer to get tased any day of the week. It's like 5 seconds, and you're done, right?
Yeah.
No, OC, man, that pain lasts forever.
What was your least favorite thing out there? Could be about anything.
Not having a car out there.
Yeah, man, that car freedom, it's rough, especially like when you were younger like us, like the big thing when you were teens, like got to get the car, got to get the freedom, and then you go, you go into the military, you get sent somewhere and you don't have that freedom. That's got to be tough, yeah.
So that was definitely a hard part. Now they started sentencing. I act like it's like they're getting banished out there, but they started giving people 3-year terms out in Japan. So whenever I went there, it was only 2. Like you would do 2 and then you'd come back. They started doing 3-year. Well, whenever they did that, they started, like, you had a package. Like, you could get a car out there, but it was like a long drawn out process and stuff. Well, what they started doing, and they started handing out 3-year enlistments out there, is they started making, as long as, like, you weren't just a fuck up, like, you could get a car. So they started making life a lot better, and that was just as I was leaving. So I'm sure, like, everybody that's out there right now probably can at least have the chance to get a car out there, which would make it so much nicer. You'd be able to explore so much more of the island that way, because whenever you have to honcho, it's not a type, it's a honcho. Whenever you get into a honcho, I mean, it gets expensive taking a taxi everywhere. So that was that would definitely be a lot better once somebody gets it, or once you would have a car out there for sure.
Gotcha. So with now, correct my negligence if I'm wrong, is it the Marines that do the Crucible?
Yes.
Okay, so you did the Crucible then, I take it? What was your experience like with that? And you maybe want to explain like what the Crucible is and maybe dip into that a bit?
So basically, I think it starts on a Monday or a Wednesday. I don't know. Maybe it ends on Wednesday. But yeah, I think it starts on Monday. First thing on Monday morning, I think it's around like 2:00, but it's 52 hours long, right? And basically you sleep for about 4 hours your entire time. You start off, it's like 2:00 in the morning on a Monday. They wake you and you do a march out to kind of like your training area, kind of be the best way to describe it.
Where did it take place? Like what
it's in
South Carolina.
Oh, it was in South Carolina. Yeah, Parris Island, South Carolina. That's where all boot camp takes place.
Okay.
If you're on the East Coast, if you're on the West Coast, you go to San Diego and you're a Hollywood Marine and you pose for pictures and you have to take jabs at the West Coasters, okay? But no, so you go to like basically your more of your rural like training area, like a kind of like combat like training area, right?
Yeah.
You're out there and you do various different things. You just basically, they do a bunch of like team building kind of like things, and you hike. The first night is the worst. The first night they do it's like a march kind of like thing.
Yeah.
But like you're like not just like marching, you're kind of like half jogging, and one person, you have to stay in a row of 4. And one person has an ammo can, and you have to pass the ammo can along in between your row of 4. So like at all times, well, then there's also a massive ammo can going like back through, like vertically. So like a lot of the time you're carrying something, and this is probably, I think this is like 3 or 4 miles. I don't remember. Honestly, I don't know the distances because it was just kind of like all blur. It's just like, all right, just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you'll get there, right?
Yeah.
And whenever you get to that point, that's kind of like what you it's kind of like what your mentality was, like just one foot in front of the other for the next 3 days. So that was the worst part, because like you would get that heavy ass ammo can. Like, you don't want to be a little bitch, right? So like you got to carry it for a while, and then you would pass it back through, and so that one definitely sucked. And then your day 2 of activities aren't quite as bad, right? But they still suck because now you have no sleep and you just gone through the day before.
Yeah.
The worst part was like the first night, because you got to think this is in the middle of June in South Carolina.
Oh.
It gets about 90, 95, and the humidity is just like 90, 95%, right? So it's just like the entire day you're just soaked with sweat, and then you're rolling around the ground. So then you got dirt and sand in places you don't want dirt and sand, right? So like once you get through the first day, you kind of are dealing more with like your mental hurdles than anything on the second day, and it's just like, okay, just got to keep pushing through. Sorry, Dak was whining at me there. And then for the last day, so like you wake up, so like you go to sleep, and whenever I went to sleep, everybody was out right away, and like I went to fall asleep, and I started getting cold sweats and fucking cramping, and I'm like, I am not dropping off now. I'm like,
Yeah.
I am almost over 40 hours into this thing, and I'm getting this. I'm just gonna shut my mouth and get through this, right? But that was definitely the worst part about my crucible, was definitely the cold sweats and stuff. Hold on one second. Let me let Dak.
It's all good.
Okay,
no worries.
Once I got through that, it was good, and then I like pulled my calf in my left leg the first day, the very first day. So like it was like I like just limped for like 2 days straight, and then the worst part is the last part. Your pack's probably like 60 pounds, but you have a 15-mile hike your last day. So. And my calf was fucked up, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm just getting
You gotta do it. Power through it.
Your whole entire mindset is like, okay, I just need to get through it, and you do. I got to the end of it, and you get your ego going. Let me let it.
It's all good, dude. Take your time.
Where's that all?
That
know what, Paul? That is crazy. That's wild. I guess we'll deter from his story and we come back. Paul, you know what's really irresponsible? Giving out fish as a prize at the fair.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Who the hell does that?
Yeah, who does that?
It's like giving out a puppy. Here, I just gave your kid a puppy, you asshole.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go get a fucking fish tank for it. Little sidetrack there.
I come back and we're talking about puppies and fish tanks.
Yeah. No, yeah, go for it, man. I'm just really interested in the crucible aspect because I know that's like one of your final tests, or like it's like one of the most important things to be a Marine. So
yeah,
I think
so
it's
once
super
you get
interesting.
through that, then you come back to the parade deck then, and you all stand in formation, and then you hold out your hand, and your drill instructor puts the eagle globe and anchor in your hand, shakes it, and that's the first time he says, "Congratulations, Marine," because the whole entire time through boot camp you're a recruit, right?
Yeah.
And that's the first time you actually get called a Marine, is right then and there. And then you sob and you cry like a little girl, and then they move down through the net line, right? And then after that, you go through and you do like your breakfast and everything, and it is the best meal you're ever going to eat. It might not be that great of food, but it's the best meal that you're ever going to eat because you just ate MREs and other shitty stuff for for about 3 days straight. So, and then from there you're pretty much done. They changed stuff a little bit now. So like after you would graduate the Crucible, your next week would just be getting ready for graduation and everything. Well, they now have like 2 weeks into that, because what they were finding was a lot of people would graduate boot camp and then they would get in trouble while they're on leave, right? Because you have 10 days before you go. So they added another week into boot camp, and it's kind of just to like help them transition for like, okay, you're gonna have a little bit of free time here, don't screw this up, right? And that's they kind of dedicate that to that, or those 2 weeks to that, and then you get out and you're finally free. Like, there's no better feeling than leaving that island, though. I can tell you that.
Bet, man, holy shit. Well, good for you, man. That's a crazy once in a lifetime thing.
Was there any type of like, I know like I always ask my other buddy that's in the military about this. Is there any like private pilot type situation going on where you're like, wow, this drill instructor is just fucking berating this man? Like, are they really that mean to you? I always ask military people that. I know they can't hit you anymore, but was there one like, pile, get him on that wall, and you're just like, God, let that guy fucking, he can't do it, obviously.
Give him a break, yeah.
Anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Like, it was very easy. Like, here's rule number one. All right, anybody listening that is going to the military, don't be the person who is the standout, and don't be like, especially for like, at least for boot camp's sake, right? Don't be a person who's the standout, and don't be the person who's the absolute turd. If you're somewhere in between, you're gonna be much better off, right?
Yeah.
And that's just kind of where I rode it the whole entire time through boot camp and stuff. And a lot of like, cause like if you're, especially like if you're good, like you're gonna get fucked with, but in a good way. It's like, because they know like that you're like better and they want. So I guess like if you want to excel and exceed, go ahead.
They want to
like,
push you more.
You know you're gonna have more fucking with, right? But if you're a turd, right? Oof. Like you're gonna, at all waking hours, you better be on high alert, because they're gonna be after you for sure. Yeah, I won't go into any details.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Yeah, drill instructors in trouble, but yeah, some of the stuff that was performed was not probably in the drill instructor handbook in my class for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I know they said they've changed things, but then I've heard people are like, they still do whatever they want. Yeah.
They just do it in a more strategic, effective manner, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They use phone books instead.
Yeah,
Yeah. So there's always, that's the thing. It's like people's like, oh, we made a roll that they don't do that, and it's like, dude, your roll is shit. Like, it's, you can think of 30 different. It's like government, right, dude? Like, you get in like a little bit of like you like impose a roll, and they're like, we solved it, and it's like, no, no, now you made like 30 different like workarounds to it, right? Like, you put a band-aid on a gaping chest wound, right?
Yeah.
Not ideal. So
that's cool, man. So after the 4 years, you were just like, were you just kind of like, I want to do something else? Did you think about upping your contract again, or kind of what was going through your head at that time once you kind of got towards the end?
I was definitely mentally, I was like, all right, I'm ready to get out. I did have some thoughts of reenlisting, if I could go back to Lackland. So a very, very small. So like, you got to think the MP field is only like 1,000 people, right? And then there's only probably like 200 dog handlers, if even that. And then an even smaller fraction than that, it's probably like 5 dog handlers that actually get to go to Lackland to train the dogs with all the other branches, right?
Yeah.
And I asked my monitor, which is basically like the person who does your jobs or who assigns the jobs and stuff for your MLS, and he was like, you can put it on there. He's like, I can't make any guarantees, right, that you can get sent there.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm like, well, there's no guarantees. And then at this time also, because that's every dog handler wants to go back to San Antonio. So he's like, no guarantees. But I had like, my pros and cons were, it's like, it's kind of like how you get promoted. And it's like your grading system, essentially.
Yeah.
My stuff was all really good. But like I said, every single dog handler wanted to go there, and he couldn't guarantee it. And then on top of that, the Marine Corps canine field was actually getting cut. Well, the MOS was kind of getting cut, so to speak. So the way military police and the Marine Corps works is you did have your field side, which is like your forward deployed units. They would be more for like whenever you go overseas, handling kind of like detainees on there, conducting some operations with units, seizing narcotics, things along those lines, right? Well, that entire battalion was getting disbanded, and that's where a majority of your dog handlers were too, right? So like an LE battalion or a law enforcement battalion on the Marine Corps side would have anywhere from around like, I think the smallest one would have been around like 20 or 30, all the way up to Pendleton. I think Pendleton had like 50 some dogs, right? So those were all getting wiped out. And then you were just having your PMOs, your provost marshal's office, which is like what you think of as a cop, right?
Yeah.
Cops on base. Those are the only MPs that were going to be left. So like basically my chances for promotion were just getting right. And I didn't want to put myself through, a bunch of hard work and then just at the end just not be able to get promoted simply because there's not slots available, right?
Yeah.
So I'm getting out, and that's ultimately why I ended up, because I'm like, well, I'm not going to Lackland, and my chances of my job's field to like getting cut in half. So
that's tough, man. Well, it's obviously everything happens for a reason too, and it seems like you're on to bigger and better things now, which is good. Getting settled, you got a house, you're chilling.
For sure.
Absolutely. Now the house thing, it's one of those things. At first, and here's my advice to you: like, make sure you're ready to do to mow the grass. All right.
I already
Make
do that
sure you're ready
now. Yeah.
to do some random ass shit. Okay, this is all the things you don't think of whenever you buy the house. Well, you do it, but you're like, oh, it's not gonna be that bad. And then you start doing them, and you're like, shit, I don't want to do this. Like all the random house projects you probably saw your dad doing, you're gonna look back and be like, man, this is why dad was always working on the house, right?
Yeah,
like, there's nothing to do around here. So that's just something to keep in mind whenever you're looking for a house.
Yeah, when I buy a house, especially this climate, I plan on going into it with just like extra funds already on the side, knowing that something major, something is gonna break within like the first year for sure. Like, it's just good to have that extra little cash,
right?
Just in the bank in case something, like, oh, the water heater goes out, or fucking this breaks, or you know. But like, that's what's tough is with like everybody's buying houses right now without any inspection, right? Like they're waiving inspection, they're just buying it. It's like, more of those issues could even pop up now, which is why like I'm hoping with like the family friends, they sell their house, I know they'll let me get it inspected and shit. So as long as that passes, like I'd probably be sitting pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me and Paul we watch a streamer, Nick Rochford, and he reviews houses and such. He's a comedian, so we've been getting a lot of good tips and tricks about that.
Yeah,
just like Realton.
Like I'm not even interested in like owning homes or like buying homes, but I'm interested in buying my own house, right? And this guy, he's super funny, and he just literally, people donate and they send him an address, and he goes on Zillow and just either tears the house completely apart, like this is fucking shit, like this yellow wall looks like an Egyptian girl's pussy, like he just like really goes into it, and like shit like that. It's so funny. But then also like he'll find a few that are like, this is a good buy, like this is good for the price, it's a great area, like it's only going to go up in value, do this, do that to it, it'll be worth like twice as much. And like, but also he can point out things I would never would have saw. Like he's clicking through basement photos and he's like, yeah, you see why they cut all this plywood out around here? It's because this flooded at some point and they're trying to hide it. And it's just like, that shit I never would have thought of, so like, I'll send you his streamers link sometime. You should check it out. He streams every Tuesday and Thursday night, just something to have on, but it's also pretty fucking funny. Like he really goes into it.
Yeah, he did write a comedy show, so
yeah,
it's good in that aspect.
That's one of the things, like with houses, like it's just the little shit that you don't notice. It's why it's always great to get the home inspected, because there could just be a little subtlety that you don't really notice, that it's just a big band-aid on a much bigger one.
It's just money, yeah, like more money. Yeah, and I'm thankful for the aspect of like, I know for a fact that if I go to buy a house, especially up in the Duluth area, that Ben would be more than happy to help me out and go with me and just look at things. I mean, Ben is so fucking skilled, dude. Like when he first got in, I mean, he still does all his own work, really. Like he'll put a doorknob, he'll fix doors, he'll hang shit, he'll paint, he'll fucking run electrical. And like, my dad helped him out with a lot of that stuff when he was just getting started. And so I have that resource, which is really good, that I plan on relying on at that point.
No, dude, I've been coddled my whole life having 7 older brothers. It's like, I can't fix this. Wait a minute, I have 6 people that can. So I'm good in that right there.
Listen, you don't use your you don't know how to do it. You know how to use your resources, Jackson.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know how to do shit. Just call shots.
Nobody has the network that you do. That's what you do.
Right. Yeah.
That is a nice thing, is that with all of our siblings, especially different ages and everything, it's just like there's just connections everywhere. I mean, like, for me, that's what I was hoping was going to help me out in my career at the beginning in IT, is like kind of get my foot in the door. Hopefully someone knows somebody that I know. And that's kind of how it helped, but it was a family friend. It wasn't actually like a sibling. Because IT, dude, it's fairly easy to get into, but you need to have some type of schooling. I just have a 2-year associate's degree, which was just more than enough to just get my foot in the door. But when you're competing with dudes that got bachelors and some experience and stuff, it's really hard to surpass them unless you were like top of your class. Like it's... I don't know, man. It's a fucking piece of paper. I still think it is. School was worth it just for me to get a job, but I would tell anybody going into IT, if you're not 100% sure, just do a 2-year first to see where that gets you. I was going to go get my 4-year, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I've made my way up the ranks, systems admin now, past help desk. Like it's sitting pretty nice now. But you said you're getting into like digital marketing stuff, right?
Yeah. So I'll dive a little bit into that, and I'll kind of carry off of your previous statement there. Like a lot of times, all a degree is, right? So you got to think of it from an employer's perspective, right? You're coming out of high school. They don't know you. They don't know your background, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of times, a lot of the jobs that you get out in the real world, if they pertain anything to like sales or especially like management jobs are big ones, right?
100%, yeah.
You like a lot of times you could probably fulfill those, like an 18-year-old could fulfill those roles, but the that's making the hiring and bringing them in their company doesn't know what they bring to the table, right? So that's what that piece of paper is signifying.
Yeah, that you did this and you can be
Right.
organized, complete things on time. Yeah.
Right. Now there's other ways to go about it. You can provide value to that company in different ways to get your foot in the door, right? It doesn't always have to be like, hey, hire me. You can be like, hey, let me do this for a week for free. Right. So this is just kind of some things of like, especially like the IT world, you'd be like, hey, let me do this for you just for like a week, right?
Yeah.
If I suck, boom, I'm out the door. But if not, I prove that I can provide some value to your company, then you can bring me on. Very few employers, I mean, any good ones, are gonna be like, you know what? I don't want any free labor this week, right?
Yeah.
So very, very few good employers would turn that down. That's just one way to, you can kind of work around the no kind of skills to put on a piece of paper resume, right?
Yeah.
But then like into the digital marketing kind of thing, it all came about. Basically, I was working my corporate job, and I was supposed to be happy in my little cubicle and typing away, right?
Yeah.
And I was a freight broker for a trucking company. So essentially, I had no experience in it. I came into it. I went to a career fair. I met one of the people that worked there. They liked me because I'm a smart, charismatic, good-looking young man, right?
Yeah.
And I got my foot in the door. And from there, I worked hard, and I was there for about a year, and I was just like, man, I'm like, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I know I cannot. And funny enough, I found a kind of a Facebook ad type deal situation, and it taught you, digital marketing and walk you through the steps of how to set up a business and everything. And I just went for it. I went full sun mode and started doing it. So after that, doing it for probably now since October. So what is that, like 8 months? And I work with a solar company now that I provide. It's like lead generation more than anything, and provide leads through Facebook ads and stuff. So that way they have people to contact and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's not a bad gig. It is like once you figure out like what you're doing and you get everything up and running, basically then your extent of it is monitoring like the campaigns and stuff. But it's more of a sales role than what you would think, right? Because you got to be able to sell. If you want to get in any kind of business, the number one thing you need to learn is you need to learn how to sell.
Yeah.
People that get in the business, they always like jump in. They're like, oh, I want to do a business, and I'm like, do you know how to sell anything? And they'll be like, oh, no, I'm doing like plumbing. I don't even know how to sell. And it's like, no, sorry, buddy, you're not gonna last very long if you don't know how to like put yourself out there and promote yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that's my biggest advice for anybody wanting to start a business is learn how to sell before you start the business, because I didn't, and I just jumped into it, and I had to kind of learn the sales thing, and I'm still learning. You learn every single day or every single time that you go on to a sales call. So
Yeah.
that was probably the biggest hurdle, so to speak, was just kind of learning the sales game and the little tactics, because you always like going into anything, you're like, I'm the best at it. And then you do it, you're like, wow, that was terrible, right? First sales presentation, I'm like, so, got a solar company, huh? It's like, you're like, just like, yeah.
Any skill I have.
You're like, look at the great stuff I can do, you got, no, so that's probably my biggest takeaway from the whole thing was definitely learn how to sell first. So once I kind of figured that out, and like now I've transitioned, because like a lot of my solar customer I'm working for is like strictly commission. So like basically I get paid off the results that I bring them,
Yeah.
which is awesome. But there's a lot more upfront costs and stuff, so I'm kind of switching to a different model. And then like now I'm working just strictly with real estate agents. Real estate agents are a little more my alley. I don't really know a whole lot about the solar game, right? I know a lot more about real estate. I can, speak to the people a lot more and like the housing and that kind of nature. And then plus like my mentor, so like I went through this course and then I paid for a mentor then afterwards, which I recommend anybody doing. Once I paid him, and his specialty was realty. I'm like, well, this is perfect, right? This guy, and I'm sure Jackson, you probably saw from the short I sent you. My number one piece of recommendation for anybody on any path is to seek out kind of a mentor who has been down the path that you've been before, because although you may think that you know what direction you're going in, you likely don't know between you where you are right now and your end goal. You likely don't know what lies in between like they do, right?
Yeah.
So always recommend getting somebody who is like, it's like, say you wanted to be the head of IT, Paul, right? Go and find somebody who's been a head of IT and just start asking some questions like, hey, what did you do? Like, hey, how did you get here? What does this process kind of look like whenever I'm there? And it's those questions that are really going to be the ones that like, start getting things to click, start getting the ball rolling. So that's kind of like I started getting more and more success whenever I got a mentor, just like almost immediately, right? Because they already have been through those experiences. If I have anything where I'm like, shit, I don't know what to say here, or like I don't know what to do, I have somebody to kind of fall back on. Always invest in yourself too, and that's kind of like the business thing. The more like every single mentor, like I interviewed a couple of different people before I actually end up going with somebody, and the common theme throughout all of them, and these are people you got to think that are multi-millionaires, right?
Mm-hmm.
The common theme throughout all of them was they spent between like $40,000 to $50,000 on themselves, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you look at that and you're like, holy shit, it's a lot of money. Now, take into consideration, it wasn't all at one time, right? And they got somebody and build it up a little bit, and like, okay, I have more money, and they invested themselves. But the real prize was in their continuous education throughout, right? And continuous education in themselves. So just a little food for
Hey man,
guys.
just interject there quick. Like, I totally agree. And the first thing you hit on is like, yeah, I actually do end up want to be an IT manager, and I never thought about that. And probably next week when I'll talk to my boss, because we have like one-on-ones each week and daily sync ups and stuff. And I'm gonna probably ask some of those questions you just brought up. And then number two you brought up, which is like investing in yourself. Like, I already, it's funny. I just did that today, and that's what I have. I've been doing that well. I've been getting my current employer to pay for certifications in IT, like tests, and I just took one today and passed it. I just got certified in like Apple security management for like Mac devices and stuff today. Just like a low level degree, nothing or certification, nothing like super high level, but it's like still like goes on my resume. It looks good.
Yep.
So like, yeah, that is extremely important, especially in the world of IT. You got certifications and certain shit, like they're like you will stand out over other applicants 100%. You got those certs on your resume.
No, 100%. And I mean, just a couple things. Like you go into that meeting, you say you do them weekly. I would always bring at least a couple of questions to the table for them, and then on top of that, on top of that, I would have I got my phone dinging here with work notifications and stuff, so I was just looking there. But no, on top of that, just go in there and be like, hey, I'm looking for a mentor type role. I guarantee you go from wherever you are and you go way up that list immediately, right? Because not many 24, you're 24, right?
25.
25, yeah. Not many 25-year-olds are asking those kind of questions, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to really separate you from the pack, as far as that goes.
100%.
No, for sure. It's good. I always try to do this. I do this actually recently to somebody. Just go up to them, someone that you see that's making money in a field that you are slightly interested in or that seems cool. Just grill them with questions until they're annoyed with you. Sam Hyde said that, and I love it because 99% of the time, if someone's doing something cool and they're making money off of it, they want to tell you about it. But yeah, just really getting into that. Kind of funny that you mentioned that is people will tell you shit if you ask them. Like, you just gotta ask. I love that Nardwar thing where it's just like, cause I asked, you can learn a lot of cool stuff. So it's a good thing to have in your mind.
Yeah, no, and like I kind of was trying to say in my short, especially with military people who are just getting out of the military. One of the hardest things, and definitely for me, was just asking for help, because the whole entire time you're in, you go through, it's like, hey, figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You're just thrown into the wolves. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're like, and you slowly do, but trust me, but having somebody who's been there and the business world is a completely different ball game than like, I don't know, like cleaning shit off of a kennel floor like I was doing, right? Like you can figure out how to do that yourself, right? But learning how to sell to somebody, you're likely not going to pick up on little subtleties that you're doing wrong as if, like somebody who has been there, done that, and is very skilled in that task, right? So that's why it's always good to have somebody that's kind of keeping you so accountability and keeping like your actions and stuff in check. Like, hey man, you said you wanted to be here, you aren't doing this shit right now, what's going on? And it's like, oh yeah, no, I need to get back on the right path, right? So it's always good to have that. Jackson, what do you want to do?
Dude, I still don't know. That is like really, it's every day. It's like more and more where it's like, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but also I want to do this, and it's just, I don't know. I'm at that in between stage where now it's like in the next like year, I really have to like fucking double down and do something. I like the idea of just like working with bands or shows like even working the merch table or just being like a sound assistant or something like that. I've been thinking about going to school for that, looking into that, but still don't know. Still up in the air and what I'm gonna
They
do.
got I think they do have some school in Duluth has a sound engineering program. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, also too, like almost like what Jarrett was saying, dude. Sometimes like if you like what he was saying when you got into it, just jump into it. Just fucking full send,
for
man.
sure.
Full send for sure is always good. It's always better to take action and be wrong than to sit there and contemplate it and do not. Because at the very end,
for sure. It's
you're always gonna learn something, right?
yeah, no, 100%.
And
what other things are you throwing up here? I'm interested in this. Let's go.
I don't know, just a bunch of things.
Were you still gonna work with Sam's buddy, maybe?
That one I don't know if I'm gonna do. That one I'm kind of turned off of, but I just know it's got to be something probably in music, honestly, at least something with that wise, like even if I'm just slanging t-shirts for a band or like managing them, something like that. Not really anything else interests me too much.
You could do like a 2-year degree in like management or I don't know. It's getting into band stuff. I don't really know the pathway to that. So
I've been looking into selling crack, but I know Ben wouldn't be too keen on that, so I can't. I think it'd be cool to have a Breaking Bad-esque situation right under his nose.
That wouldn't be good for the family business there.
No,
Hey, I just picked up Jackson dealing on the corner.
Yeah,
it's like let him go. It's like, yeah, I got the whole corner. Yeah, nah. Well, I'll figure it out. It's just kind of one of those things. But more and more each day, it's like I don't want to end up not doing something. I don't want to wake up one day and it be I'm 26 and I didn't do shit. That's like the last thing I want. But
I got that feeling literally at like 24. So that's where I kind of I'm like fuck. I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I need to kind of figure it out, right?
And it happens at different times. It happens at different times for everybody though too. Like that's what's really important is like it's no race. Like I felt that way at 20, and then like I started going to school, and then at 22 I was like, well shit, now I have this like degree. Let's do something with it. But yeah, go ahead, Jarrett. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, you got to think Colonel Sanders was 62 or 63 whenever he invented KFC. Right?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's true.
No, so there's no rush, and you're only 21, right?
Yeah.
You stay as much as your mom probably is bagging on you. You're more, but no, you still do. You still have some time, man.
Part of me, I know a girl from high school that did this, but part of me fucking would really fun is just get one of those vans, hollow it out, make it a livable thing, and just drive around. Just go everywhere. I think that'd be fun as hell. You live like a hippie for a year. Yeah. No, I've always kind of been like, that could be fun, but I don't know.
See, van life has always seemed cool to me, but like
for a short while,
a short while, or like, or you still have a home, but you just like take it out for like weekend trips or like week trips or something. Yeah, exactly. Like
for sure.
Living in a car, like it sounds cool when you see people sick built out like vans and shit. You're like, damn, like I could live in that. But it's also just like to me, it's not a permanent situation. It's
Yeah.
fucking cool though.
No, like for like I could do it for like 6 months to a year, but like I'd need to have come back home for like a while.
Yeah.
That'd be
So
exhausting.
here's my only advice to you: is this kind of helped me too. Is I took and I wrote down on a piece of paper and I listed every single thing I'm good at and every single thing I'm bad at, right?
Mhm.
And then I kind of just slowly kind of read down through the list, and I actually came to grips with some of the things I thought I was good at, right? Because a lot of the things you're going to list on your good side, you're like actually not good at, right? And that's
Yeah.
not good. I did it. I'm like
Everybody pumps themselves up.
master, yeah, master
like, yeah.
ball.
Dude,
No,
whatever you're remember,
yeah,
whatever minor skill you think you have, there's always a 15-year-old on YouTube that's a master at it already. So don't think you're anything.
yeah.
It's like I'm playing guitar and I'm like, I got this little thing down. Some kids are shredding it like fucking Dave Mustaine. He's 10 years old. And I'm just like, oh, I'm done playing guitar.
Yeah. So it's a good thing, go down through and then really actually, come to like grips with every single thing you wrote down on the good side and be like, oh, this is
for sure
what I'm good at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just work on getting better at those, and then work on different ways that you can go through and actually implement them and monetize them at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And you'll be golden.
I always fall back to because Jordan Peter, I heard him say this like 4 years ago, but I do it maybe like once every 6 months, kind of check in. It's just write down for 5 minutes everything you're doing right, write down for 5 minutes everything you're doing wrong, and write down for 5 minutes everything if you started doing the things wrong right, what your life would look like.
Yeah.
And you just check in, do that every like 6 months. And you're like, okay, it's good to it's definitely good to write shit down. Don't ever underestimate the power of seeing your problems written down right in front of you. It's very, very useful.
Dude,
And everyone's something
writing's
like
huge
in
for me.
high school, they were like, you guys, you need a daily planner. Shit's important. I'm like, nah, it ain't. But oh my fucking God, it's so important. I can't believe I didn't listen to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I got out of high school and I'm like, damn, I should have been doing this all a long time ago. But now we're writing down shit 24/7.
100%, brother. No, I mean, I was one of those people too. Like, I was one of those people who was a victim of my own intelligence, right? So, like, going up through high school, I never had to write shit down. I never had to study for anything. Even in college, college courses, shit, like, I don't have to study for shit. Like, if I read something and like I actually like understand it, it just clicks, right? And a lot of times, like, I don't have to go.
You're
back
a lucky
through it.
man.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
like once I get it down, like sometimes I have to read it like 2 or 3 times, sometimes even up 4 or 5 times. But like once it clicks, it's like boom, I can have it. And then all tests are within, generally like a college semester. Sometimes I've got to like 3 months, but I can retain that knowledge for that long, right?
Mhm.
Now in longer periods, but I was always really good in school because of it, right? But I was a victim though because I didn't know how to like stay on task with anything. And that's one of the biggest things that has helped me out is whenever, especially like with the business, is like I have like a million things I have to do. No, really, I have like 2 to 3 like major outstanding things to do, and that's what I work on for the day. Right, I write them down before I go to bed. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to work on tomorrow, and then I'm just more productive.
Right. Yep.
Because I'm just focusing on like 2 to 3 things, and they're itemized out. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. Boom, knock them off. And then it, like from there, if I still have some like time left in my day and it's not 10 o'clock at night, then I'll go through and I'll actually like add some like other stuffs on, or some of the other like non-important things onto the list then.
Yeah, man. I, Jackson too, like one skill you have been kind of building an organized or schedule, like with Jackson helps out so much with the podcast, Jarrett. Like I wouldn't be able to do it without him. Like we're a 2-man team. Like I handle a lot of like the full cast upload, doing the thumbnails. He'll do all the shorts and he does scheduling of like getting them all spaced out and like uploading them. So he's like super good at that. Like you already kind of starting to get organized stuff like that down. And to think about it, dude, June 25th this month is our 1 year. Like we've been doing it every Saturday for a whole year. Every Saturday for a whole year, we haven't missed one. So like that's pretty fucking impressive.
And I'm gonna be real, Paul. Like I said, if there's a day where you can't come on, like I will solo the show. I'll Theo Vaughn, I'll Norm Macdonald, I'll just stand here and just start cranking out material. I don't care. There will be one episode every week until I'm dead. I don't give a fuck. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it as a geriatric patient. He'll still be out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
You know, at first I didn't like Theo Von at all. And then like I saw him on JRE and I was like, okay, Joe Rogan. I was like, okay, he's pretty good. And then I started watching his other stuff. It was popping up recommended. I'm like, okay, I like Theo Von. At first I was very hesitant to like him.
First, I'm like, man, this is every freaking. I'm like, I can get this from every redneck in my hometown.
Yeah.
Right? It's like some of the shit that like he was like, I'm like, okay, he's definitely a lot more calculated than some
It's
of the
very more thought out. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
he's actually really smart, but doesn't seem like it at first. Yeah.
I think he had Shakewell on his podcast, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. I gotta check that out.
Yeah. It's good. Good episode.
So, all right, one question for you guys. What is your biggest guilty pleasure?
Just anything?
Fuck, that's a hard one.
Anything.
That is a really, really hard one.
This comes up on my list, right? I'm like, oh shit, I should not be doing this, but I definitely do it. So
fucking lately, man, I was so good. I was off nicotine for a whole year and I fucked myself a couple months ago because I just started getting back into it. But I'm gonna tell myself I'm going to. After this vape or whatever, I'm gonna stop. Hopefully I do. That's probably my biggest guilty pleasure.
On the opposite, I've been 12 days free of nicotine.
Hey,
so,
hell yeah, good job.
Yeah, I'm good.
So I quit chewing 2 September. Holy shit. It's been almost 2 years since I quit chewing.
It's good to just not even think about when you last quit. I feel like that helps. Like just not even knowing when it's just like out of your mind, you know?
And I quit drinking completely February 14th.
Hey, good for you, man.
But the biggest vice is this right here.
Cigar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man of class.
Yeah. So
those are all right. One won't kill you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, but this many, you know, whenever I just spend a couple of dollars on it.
You gotta hang out with our brother Joe. He loves gars. He's got some good gars. Oh yeah. He's a connoisseur. Oh yeah.
So like I never used to be into it, and honestly I used to like hate cigars. Well, then I quit drinking, I quit chewing, and I'm like, man, like I need something. Like I need, it's just like I really don't need it, but I mean that was just me telling myself. I'm like, this is like one bad thing that I'll let myself like slip up. So I'll do it usually like Saturdays in the evenings, or just even like random Wednesday evening. Sometimes I'll be like, shit, man, I just want to have a cigar, and I chill out of my Porsche. I'll read. That's one cool thing I just got into.
Yeah.
Nice. I love reading.
Couple like I said with the sales things, this is a great book for sales.
Oh yeah, the Wolf.
Or Jordan
the
Belfort.
Wolf, yeah.
And then this is a great leadership book. If you guys are looking to get into that, Jocko Willink.
Oh, I like Jocko.
Yeah.
Gotta drink Jocko's milk to get big and strong.
Get the Jocko feeling, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just read this guy, which is pretty good. Slow Death by Rubber Duck. It just talks about like chemicals and shit that the FDA passes that are like really, really bad. So, yeah, that one's interesting.
If you actually like look into because I've gone down the FDA path before, and a lot of stuff that is legal in America is not legal in other countries to put in food.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh, there's just a lot of stuff. Yeah. It's crazy.
And I'm sure like like after reading that book, I mean it's crazy like how they're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't do it, but we can increase the shelf life by half an hour, so we're gonna go ahead and give her a go.
Whatever. It's poison. It's poison in China, but to here it's a shelf life extender. So
a second vice I've kind of had that's new is simply now that I've been eating cleaner is just wanting to eat like shit, bro. Like I'm on a diet and it ends at the middle of this month, and then I think I'm gonna start a bulk. I think I'm at that point where I think I can bulk and then do a cut.
Yeah.
Because I'm in like a maintenance right now or whatever. We'll see though. I might keep the maintenance going all the way until September-ish, and then when I'm back from Norway, then start my bulk, because that trip is gonna fuck things up for me if I was like cutting during that time. So
you got to be eating 6,000 calories a day.
100%. I would just start the bulk on the Norway trip, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's, you're likely not gonna work out, right?
Yeah.
Like real. Like you're not gonna work out, and you're probably gonna eat like shit. So you might as well start it then, and then come back, and then just make sure you get back in the gym, though.
That's the one thing, dude. Is like I'm itching to go back to the gym right now. I just don't want to fuck this up anymore.
You're not gonna hit pads with me this weekend? Not gonna hit the bag at all?
What's
going on?
Should I bring my gloves up?
You're gonna break my heart if you don't bring the gloves. I'm just saying.
Okay, fuck. All right.
We'll put the bag up. We'll move the table. We'll knock everything over.
In the middle of
Okay.
the garage sale, we're fucking hitting the bag, dude.
I just want to scream like Sam Hyde.
Your parents don't sell a fucking thing all day.
Yeah. Not fucking anything.
Going really like, we haven't even had a customer all day.
Yeah, right. Not even a single fucking person. But my guilty pleasure, and this is what I've been cutting out within the last like 2 weeks, but I still maybe do it once a week, is night eating. I gotta cut that out.
It's
like,
tough.
It'll be midnight, and it'll be like, that M&Ms look pretty fucking good. Don't mind if I do. And then it's like, God, then I'm going to bed 20 minutes after, and I wake up feeling like shit. So that's why I've been cutting that out. But I haven't done it at all this week or pretty much last week. So I'm pretty good at it. Once you get over that period, because I'm trying to lose weight. Yeah. Once you get over that period of not eating, like you're just like, whatever. You stop feeling worse. For a while, you feel nauseous. But
one thing that definitely helped me was, I started fasting. Every single day. I only eat like once, sometimes twice a day, right?
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I try, like, my hardest thing is, like you were saying, was like with snacking and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much just got rid of everything in my house. Like, it's literally,
you have to.
I live by myself. So like everything that I buy, I'm like, okay, I can only buy good shit. And guess what? I only eat good shit. So if you can only put the good stuff in your house, it's the only stuff you're going to eat. But, you always have to fight the temptations whenever you're driving by McDonald's and it's like, 3 o'clock and you haven't ate all day and you're like, fuck, man, I could really go for it. My guilty pleasure was I would get 3 McDoubles with mac sauce. I would get 2 McChickens, a large fry, and a sweet tea.
Hell right?
Yeah. That's the meal right there, yeah.
That was my guilty. Like, I'm like right now I'm talking about it. I'm like, fuck, I want to go. That was my guilty pleasure of eating at McDonald's, was I would always house that. And then like people like look at me, you eating that much food for it? I'm like, it's great.
It's good.
Fantastic. And then just cutting out those guilty pleasures, and you'd be surprised. Including whenever I stopped drinking too, the amount that I retain. So like you don't even have to work out as often whenever you quit drinking, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the specific science is, and I should probably go to school. If I would go to school for anything, it'd be to learn like exercise science, right?
Yeah, that stuff's cool.
Whenever you quit drinking, so like whenever you drink, like everything, like you lose all of your water weight, you piss it all out, and you get smaller, right? Well, if you don't do that, you just maintain that mass the whole time.
Right.
So I've noticed, like, even if I don't go to the gym like every single day of the week, like normally I work out 5 to 6 days a week. So like, say if I miss one, or if I have a week where I only work out like once or twice, like I don't really lose anything. But whenever I would drink, like if I would do that, I would go in and I'd be like, it would set me back like 2 weeks. It's just like you're never taking any steps back whenever you cut that out, and you lose so much body fat, like just by quitting drinking.
I'm thankful. That's one thing. We all did our fair share of underage drinking. All right. I mean, who hasn't? But
5 times.
Yeah, but
so many times I've drank.
But I'm not. Thankfully, I've been always more of a. I mean, as you know, with our dad's side of the family, I've been a lot of smokers. I think that's where I get that from. I haven't smoked cigs in a long time. But it's just like, I'm glad that I haven't had to like go cut things up, because I'll have a beer like once every couple months, if that. Like it's nothing, like I've never been. Now whiskey though, if I'm gonna drink, it's gonna be like a nice whiskey or like a nice bourbon or something. But I don't drink, and I'm glad I didn't really have to like cut that out. But it's a good thing you did. Like that's something also too, like when you're especially in Duluth, dude, there's nothing to do up there but fucking drink. Like there really is. Go drink with your friends, hit the bars. Like that's literally it.
Go to Dave and Buster's. That's all I remember from being up there.
Yeah, dude. I don't think there isn't a day. It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. They took it away.
The Chuck E. Cheese is gone too, bro. It's all gone.
COVID just screwed everything, buddy. It's just nothing left there.
Dude, that fucking town needs to figure out some source of income, because now that it's not like, it's just not a lot of business. Yeah, weed's being legalized here, I guess. Like
money will come in
next
that
year. Yeah, it'll come in that way. We better have some better fucking roads. I'm sick of the goddamn potholes.
Yeah,
it better go towards
the road's
that.
bad.
You guys don't shit on Pennsylvania, all right? Trust me. You're going down the road and there's horse shit on the road from the Amish. All right, you guys don't have that. All right, and then you're just driving down the road and then there's like, oh, there's a little pothole. You swerve to miss it, and you hit a crater. That's
My dad's.
They make a crater. You're like, you know.
That's funny because my dad's whole thing, Paul, maybe you heard him say this, was asphalt was made in the great state of Pennsylvania. That's why our roads are so nice. That's what he always say. He still says that shit.
I've been.
What was the roads he would say? Like, wasn't one of them like Spook Hollow Lane or something?
I don't know, man.
Or wasn't it?
That's where my parents. That's where all like a lot of relatives. So whenever you guys come to visit, right?
Yeah.
My parents, Uncle John and Aunt Robin live on that road. My brother has his trailer on that road, and Kelsey and Mike live on that road.
Wait, so it is called that, right? Spook Hollow?
Spook Hollow is the name of the little dip, and the reason why it's called
is
because there was a lady that was murdered there at one time. So that's why it's called Spook Hollow. Yeah, that was probably the biggest news ever, and that was the only murder we've had in like 35 years in our community, right? But yeah, the actual road is called Dowdy's Hole.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't want to say it because I'm not trying to dox these people. I was like, I'm not even going to mention their road. I knew it's called that, though.
No one's going there. We're not that popular yet. Fuck, there was something on the tip of my tongue, but now I'm forgetting. Oh well, probably wasn't that important. No, it's all good.
Yeah, right. Okay, here's another story my dad told us a lot growing up. I don't know if your mom or dad talked about it, but he claims to have seen the Mothman down there.
Did he ever tell you about that?
Did I ever mention that?
I've vaguely heard of this fairy tale, but
okay. Okay, I just always I want to know because I want someone else to back him up in that story, like one of his sisters or something.
He swears by it.
Yeah, he swears he was in the Fairview Church and he's pulling out at like 3 a.m. and there was the Mothman. And of course, the first question is, how many beers is that after Dad? He's like, oh, it's about 12.
Yeah. Do the intelligence gathering on that because I think I remember him saying this about the Mothman story. I remember him bringing it up whenever he's been here. I don't, honestly, I've never seen it.
You've never seen the Mothman?
No. And I've been through a lot of acres in the country or the state game lands around there, and I haven't seen that, but we'll let him ride on that high horse. So.
Yeah, right. I'll choose to believe he did see it.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Jarrett, what are you driving? What's your daily drive? I'm kind of into cars. I don't have a nice project car anymore like I used to, but like, what are you driving right now?
I don't have a car right now. Sold my car.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
I bought an electric bike and I've been using that pretty much all summer.
Nice.
So it's honestly it's great. You just push a little throttle and whip that little baby around. It goes like 20 miles per hour. Yeah, you have a scooter.
Yeah, dude.
Is that up on a pedestal now?
Fantastic. Especially for living in more like city settings.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great. You don't spend any gas.
Take a guess at how fast that thing goes.
30. 40? Faster?
Goes 50.
Holy shit.
God damn.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, that thing rips. It fucking rips.
You could put it right on the highway.
What'd you say, Jarrett?
How much you pay for that thing?
I've been eyeing these for a while. I really wanted one, and then I bought it used because brand new they're $2,500, and then I got it for $15 because a guy was in California was looking to buy a house. He needed to sell it immediately, and he shipped it to me.
Dude, that is so dangerous.
It's got 300 miles on. Dude, don't worry. I got all the safety upgrades. I got the steering damper on there. I got the upgraded rotors, the hydraulic brakes.
I'm gonna tell you a little bachelor party story, okay?
Yeah.
I probably won't be able to get the phone to focus on the screen, but we went down to Baltimore, right? And if you've ever been to Baltimore, it is the sketchiest city you'll ever. It's probably worse than Minneapolis. I'm not even gonna lie.
Probably. It is.
I've heard it's bad.
It is the worst city I've ever been into in my life, right? And we go there for my buddy's bachelor party. And where our Airbnb is, all right, so it's like our house, like our Airbnb house is like right here. It's like a main drag that runs down through. Yeah. But right on the back side of it is the abandoned projects. And the reason why it was abandoned is because they stole all the copper piping out of it whenever copper got real high. And they stole all of it. So like then it became uninhabitable, right? So like this is where we were backed up to. Well, like the nice part of Baltimore is like in the Inner Harbor like area, like you don't go too far away from there, right? And they have those scooters, right? And it's I forget, I think it was Link was the name of them, the big ones, and they go like 30 miles per hour. And they're just absolute death traps. Right?
Yeah,
like
dude.
30 miles per hour. And like that was at 20 or 30. And they have the little app where you pull it up and we're like, shit, there's only one of them in this area. And it was me and one of my friends that we were at this bar and we were getting ready to go back. This is like 2:00 in the morning. Like, we're shit house, right? Absolutely just trash. And we're like, shit, like we need to get one of these like these scooters. So right on the thing, whenever you open up, it's like, do not partner up, right? Where there's us riding down. Here's two just white ass dudes in the middle of the hood riding on the back of the scooter, right? We're just smiling, dumb rednecks, right? You know? And we're going to pick up this other scooter. There was like, you know how the curves will like have like where it like funnels and then it goes down so it's like level with the pavement.
Yeah.
Well, he missed it and like hit it flat on. And he hits this and I go flying. Dude, like I'm talking like I go flying. I smash my face off the side of this brick wall and I just have blood running down my face. Right? Like I wish I could show you guys a picture. I'll show it to you guys sometime, but I have a gigantic like rash mark like right here and I just have blood going down the side of my face. So like I'm like, oh god, I'm like, this is why they say do not partner up with it, right? So we get to this other scooter and we're riding along and we go through and we get back to the like we get through like the abandoned like project section and he's in front of me and he's still like, you know, he's zipping like through there. There was like a part of the curb or something that like was just like messed up. Like somehow he was unscathed in this first incident, right? Well, he goes and he hits this like little bump and he flips. This time, like he goes like he
over
flies.
the handlebars. Yeah.
Flies. Boom, smashes into a car. And we're like, oh god. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, this is not so like we're in the middle of Baltimore. We just flipped it. He just flips over his handlebars and smashes into a car. This old black lady that was like sitting up, she goes, oh hun, you need to get out of here before they come and get you. so
Oh, fair warning.
Yeah, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you two need to get out before they come and get you. Like, you know, we're going right back down the street we go. Dude, those things are so much fun. That's why like I know that thing was only going like 20 to 30 miles per hour. So the fact that you said yours is like it's 50, I'm like sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh god, I'm like,
dude,
that thing is
I've got that. Okay, so like I've gotten it top speed to 47 and it was like scary. I was like just once, and like when I'm really cruising around on it, I'm going like 20, 25, maybe 30 max. If I need to get up a hill a little quicker, I'll gun it. Dude, it's literally got 2-wheel drive. Like you can put it in the dual motor mode because it's got a motor in both fucking wheels and you can like fucking crank it. People can literally fucking like do wheelies on these, like on this specific scooter and like fucking burn out the back wheel and stuff. It's kind of cool.
That's sick.
Here, I'll show you this other thing. I literally just got this last weekend. I haven't ridden it a ton yet.
Those things look like death traps.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying.
What'd you say?
They look like death traps.
They're actually really fun, but yes, they kind of are death traps. It's such like it's a learning curve. Like it is not by any means easy to ride. Yeah,
I mean it's like you lean a little bit too much, dude. Like I have really good balance, don't get me wrong, but I just know like I would get on that thing and I wouldn't even be like paying attention. I'd be like looking at something else and I would
Apparently it auto balances you.
Yeah, so like the reason why these things are so goddamn expensive is there's a computer in there that's doing like thousands of micro calculations a second to self-balance you. So it's really like, dude, I'm not even fucking with you. Like when I was first on, I'm like, how do people turn on these? And you literally just like, the number one thing is never look down, just look where you want to go. And you just shift your body weight and it fucking just turns for you, dude. It's fucking honestly insane. Like it's definitely though, the one thing I'm working on before I actually start taking it on some like longer distance like rides is slowing down and stopping, because you have to like lean back, and that's how you get the motor to like it notices and it slows itself down. But like I need to like figure out that weight shifting, because I was in the school parking lot near here the other night just getting used to it. I fucking was going way too fast on it and I couldn't stop, and I just fucking bailed onto the grass like, and it fucking went up over the curb.
Well, that was my one question. I'm like, how does that thing know when you want to stop? Like,
yeah, it's got
you like flow with the motion. Like, how do you do that?
It's got regenerative braking, and it's got both pads have sensors. So like when it notices that you're leaning back and putting more force on your back foot, that's when it slows you down. It's honestly kind of cool how the technology works. It's just but there are literally like competitions, like races. People go on these crazy and they win like thousands of dollars, like these massive races, like up through mountains and shit. People get gnarly on these. Like, yeah.
It's like you know what I'm saying? You just get up there, boom, knock the guy out.
They should just do a race, but with airsoft guns. Fucking
yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, dude.
Now we'll get some viewers. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be the next Gutterball podcast. It's gonna be you guys.
Would. Well, we should just. The entire podcast is on a one wheel. We just sit on there the whole time, holding the microphones. No, we really have floated around the idea of being suspended from wires the entire cast.
Yeah,
like
dude.
From the ceiling. We're just swinging like, like a rope. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So the goal
somehow figure that out.
The goal is when I buy a house, either a room, preferably a finished basement, is becoming like the permanent in-person studio once like I'm not living down here anymore and like have a house up there. And like, yeah, one of the bits was going to be like, we're going to suspend like the desks and like everything from the ceiling and just fucking do the entire show suspended from the ceiling, because we think that'd be so fucking funny.
I think it will be.
Hard. That would be more challenging than it would be anything.
Yeah, just like getting it all set up. Like the only thing I can think of is like using the chains that boxing bags use and really making sure it's at a good like mounting point. Like
I'd worried about bringing the whole ceiling down with us.
Yeah,
but we'll look into it. We'll figure it out.
Mr. Beast type shit there. Yeah,
I really know it is. Yeah, honestly. I'll probably figure it out.
Well, we're at an hour and a half here, boys. Did you guys want to keep going? Or I think we could probably call it a show.
Yeah, I got nothing else for him.
Yeah, no, I'm good, man.
Cool,
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Dude, thanks for coming on, man. It was a really good time.
You were one of our fucking most fun guests we had in a long time. Not shitting on any other guests, but yeah.
Yeah, dude. And we'd love to have you on again.
Second relative as well. So the rest of you guys are lacking on it.
Yeah,
Get on Gutterball. This is your one and only chance right now before we make it big.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely need to call out the rest of the family, for not being on.
Can we get what if we just got an entire family cast? Let's just get everybody.
That'd be
30,
way too hectic, right?
30 people on a cast.
You don't realize the technological incapability. I don't know if that's
it is now.
How technologically incapable 90% of your Pennsylvania family is.
Yeah, dude.
They're like, I'm on the Zoom, and it don't make no sense. All right. Look,
yeah, you're right.
Tell me about it.
Oh my god, it would be fantastic.
I
should get a podcast of watching my mom try to get onto the podcast. All right, that would be
that would be like great content.
All right, I got the link on here. It's not working right. I don't know what's going on. All right.
Well, Jarrett, is there anything you wanted to shout out? We will put all your stuff in the description. I know you sent me some stuff. Anything you wanted to shout out? Anything you wanted to say? Go for it.
Yeah, no. If you got any realtors that tune in, feel free to hit me up. Explain a little bit more about what I do. I would love to explain the process and everything. But no, I mean, other than that, man, I appreciate you guys' help with the shout outs and stuff, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure, man. Yeah, loved having you. And yeah, everybody, you can find all of Jarrett's stuff in the description there. Go ahead, Jack. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I got nothing. I'm good.
Okay, well, that was Gutterball 51. Whoa!